Bitcoin is down 10% from the highs, but all hope is not lost. In fact, this is where we need to start paying attention. Now, before I get into that, if you don't know me, my name's Paradise. I've been trading crypto since 2017. I managed to make life-changing money, lost it all, and rebuilt from zero. If you want to learn how I did it and the mistakes to avoid, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so you can get notified as soon as my outlooks go live. So, let's get into BTC. Straight up, first thing we can notice from the last video is we have swept those range lows that we were watching. Now, I've had a decent reaction this morning off that. You can also see, if I switch indicators on the 4 hour, we have had a bullish 4 hour divergence print on RSI and also awesome oscillator. This is a good sign. It's also come down into this H4 demand, intra-demand pocket, which I mentioned on the last video. Now, kind of what I'm looking for right now, the line in the sand. First things first, we are rejecting an H1 trend. H1 trend has kept price down the whole run so far since the highs. Now, all I'm looking for is a flip of that and then to get above this anchored VWAP, which has been a very good line in the sand since its low at 98K. Now, you can see where I pulled that VWAP from. Each time we've retested it, we've had quite a strong reaction. Now, what we did in the last few days is we blasted below it, and now we are accepting under it and trading under it. So really all I want to see is that low time frame trend confirmation on the H1 and then some sort of acceptance above this. If we start getting that, I'm basically looking for this scenario to play out where the noodle starts curling up and at the same time price starts respecting it as it trends up. So right now, this is all I'm doing. I took a position on BTC at 112K overnight on a tag into that level. If we go back to the daily, we can see quite clearly where we are in terms of a range. So if I actually pull another anchored VWAP from where this range started, you can see that once we broke above, we're near coming into it for a retest. Now, if we start accepting below that, it opens up the doors for a new range. That range being this in here. So you can see currently what we're doing is moving between 2 points. Now, if we get down here, we need to view this as a new range. Now, why I quite like this level down here is the anchored VWAP pulled from the 74K lows. You can see that lines up with this daily FEG over here, this daily imbalance. So if we start accepting back under here, I'm going to look to cut my position and potentially buy at better value lower around 104K. I'm not paying much credence to that level yet, purely because I don't want it to cloud my analysis. I need to basically say we have tagged and swept the range low here, and I'm expecting a push up from that. But just to give you a heads up so you know what my thought process is moving forward, if we do come down here, I am looking for that acceptance in there. I'm looking for a rotation down to the other side, effectively to fill that FEG and also this anchored VWAP. Let's move on to ETH, arguably looking better. So in terms of where ETH is right now, we're going to use the anchored VWAP again. This one we pulled at the lows from 33.60. It basically tagged it, had a small bounce, deviated below it, and over the last it was actually overnight, we have come down, given it a retest into this H2 demand and basically done this SR flip. So if we look at what that is right now, I can get rid of all of this for a second. You can see this very clear line in the sand here. Basically, we had this as support, we lost it. This became a deviation once we reclaimed it, and now we're giving the first bullish retest of that. What I also like about this is we are reclaiming H1 trend at the same time. So to get my doodles back, what I'm watching right now in terms of an actual breakout is this diagonal trend line. So you can see this red line here, this has capped price the whole way down. I basically want to see a break above that. Now we're above the H1 noodle. So I just get rid of that for a sec. It gets a bit messy, I know. If you want to see where we're at in terms of targets, we're looking at this 43.70 level at the first TP. Now, why is that? Well, it's the structural support resistance level that we lost, turned into resistance. You can also see the anchored VWAP pulled from the highs, which has proven as good resistance on the way down, also lines up with this level. So really all I'm looking for right now, I took a position on this also in the H2 demand. If we start showing low time frame bearish price action here, I'll potentially cut this trade because I imagine we stay range bound between these 2 points, potentially lower if we start to lose this low here. But if that doesn't happen and we start to reclaim up here, flip that VWAP and accept above this level, we are now in a new range between these 2 points. Now, as a level-to-level trader, my position would be possibly to compound on this, look for us to trend up the H1 and H4 noodles, and potentially take profit at the next level up at 4,500. Now moving on to ETH BTC, this is a great looking chart to me. So this looks much more constructive than BTC, and we'll get onto that in a sec when looking at dominance charts. But we can see right here, we also have the same diagonal forming. We have deviated below the H4 noodle. We have reclaimed it, also lined up with a key structural level reclaim. Now, what I want to see right now as constructive price action is for us to break above this level. Basically, want to see that breakout happen, and I want to see it supported by the noodle trend as it trends up. This makes ETH obviously the better bid to have. And you might be asking why I long BTC and ETH. BTC, from a liquidity perspective, it has retested the current all-time high breakout level, and it's also swept that range low. So I need to be a bull as long as the divergences are showing there and we see momentum push up. So 2 positions I took this morning. I'm just looking for ETH BTC to have this break, and I think that'll give better continuation for what we're looking for. Let's move on to ETH Dominance. Looks very similar to ETH BTC. When I compare this in a sec, you'll see why this looks so much better than BTC. Actually, you know what? We can jump into that now. So if I go to the BTC Dominance chart, you can see the clear difference between these two. This is the H4 chart. This looks quite constructive, right? We deviated below a key level, we reclaimed it, and now we are consolidating above it. Whereas BTC.D is just failing to do any sort of structure breaks, and it's also failing to accept above trend. So effectively, what this is right now on BTC is just a range. This is why it doesn't look as attractive as a long versus Ethereum, I should say. So we need to pay attention more to Ethereum in this case, and potentially start looking down the chain at ETH betas. Now moving on to USDT dominance. This has been a really good chart and a really good barometer for where the risk is in the market. So if I actually go out to the weekly here, you can see this level down here, this 3.7% level on USDT.D has been a really good sort of friction and bounce point for when we have sell-offs in the market. So each time we've come into it, USDT dominance has spiked, and that has led to a sell-off. This one right here was basically last year when we started selling off from November to December on USDT, which gave us that rally. Then we can see when we started selling off on risk assets in December, that's where this pumped. So what I'm actually using with USDT dominance, I should say, is the daily noodle. I think the daily noodle has been really good at being respected on these runs up. So you can actually see if we localize this a bit, once we consolidated down here at the end of last year and we started to break above, this is where that sell-off was. You can see each retest of the daily noodle has been quite bullish for this. Then once we lost it, risk assets started to pick up. You can see we had subsequent bearish retests on the way down. So right now, why I think this makes for an interesting chart is the fact of where BTC is. BTC just retested the old all-time high. It just swept the range low. And at the same time, we're coming into this structural level on USDT dominance that also lines up with a daily noodle retest. And yes, we are a bit above the daily noodle. You can see on the way down, we have had some deviations before accepting back below. But I think why we need to start paying attention to it right now is the fact that we are retesting this level again. This level rejected last time, we're looking for it to reject again. Now, if BTC starts pushing up and the market goes with it based on this range low sweep, I think we could see a rejection of this and this starts trending down again. Whether it gets down to this level, we don't know yet. I do think, this is a broader perspective here, but if we go back to the weekly chart, if we start to actually lose this 3.7% level on dominance, I think we are in for a good time with altcoins. But, that's a way off yet, so don't get too excited. I just wanted to flag it for you guys so you can sort of look at the chart yourself and make reference. So let's go to others dominance. I think this chart is really good as well and quite telling. So what actually was interesting to me over the night is how BTC sold off and alts didn't really budge that much. You can actually see this reflected in the OTHERS.D chart. So what I'm kind of seeing here, this is a monthly pivot level. This has been historically very strong for where risk goes into alts. Now you can see we're consolidating under it and compressing quite tightly between the daily noodle and that level. So if we do see the market pick up and we get a pop above this level, this is where I start thinking you start paying attention to alts you want to be in because I think they will run. We're not quite there yet. You can see we have been chopping for a couple of weeks now under this level. So I'm really just looking for that spike above. And that's pretty much all I'm looking for on the radar with this right now. Let's go to hype. Some altcoins that I'm currently watching. Now, I'll just let you know, I'm not really chucking much risk across the board just yet. Reason being for that is I just think we need to play on things that have good structural levels and have been historically strong. I think once we see that others breakout, we can effectively go further down the risk curve. But until then, I'm just playing things with nice structural setups. So hype is a good one. I shared this on the last outlook with you guys. We came down, we basically deviated under the range low, we accepted above, we moved up and we were trending up the 4-hour noodle, but we actually just front ran that $50 level. So we have that round psychological $50 number, and we also see that we front ran the range higher. This now gives us equal highs to work with, which are a good liquidity pocket to target. My thesis for taking this trade, we came down, we filled this daily volume inefficiency, and we are printing not a technical divergence because it didn't occur in the extremes, but you can see momentum is diverging across RSI in here. If we go to Awesome Oscillator, you can also see a nice divergence starting to print. So for me right now, I have a position on this, taken in this inefficiency. All I'm looking for, we are being capped by 4-hour trend. It was very good on the way up and has also been bearishly respected on the way down. Now I'm just looking for that H1 flip. We have not yet got it. We are currently testing it. It's too early to tell. We do have the Jackson Hole news tonight. Sorry, the event, I should say. So where the market goes based on that will be more telling of how these positions pan out. But until that happens, I'm comfortable throwing a bit of risk in this one. On to ENA. I have reduced the chart from the other day to a single line and a single box. I'm going to go over that strategy in one of the future videos. But you can see right now, we are looking quite good on this. So we did come down into H12 demand. I started building a position in this, but I think the actual better setup lies in reclaiming this level up here. So kind of what I do with this one line, one box strategy, if I'm just looking to long the line, I look for a reclaim of that level, and that lines up with this being a deviation. But I was more comfortable taking a position in this based on what we covered on the last video, which was this is the first daily noodle retest since this monumental run up. You can see there was too much demand in the market to even come down and tag the daily noodle on the run up. Obviously, we had this daily divergence print. We've come down and reset that into the daily noodle. So this, for me, was enough credence to start building a position. You can also see we have a bullish 4-hour divergence on RSI and a bullish 4-hour divergence on AO. So really what I'm looking for right now is a flip of that level and a flip of the 4-hour noodle. That would effectively let me layer more and compound into my position, targeting these highs up here. Now I think ETH looking better than BTC. If it starts to rally, obviously ENA is one of the main benefactors and a reason we need to have it on the radar. Link is the last one, stinky link. So this is a bit of a pain chart for me, but we're going to go over it anyway. You know, gonna have to lick those battle wounds. But where it stands, you know, we came down and we tagged the 4-hour noodle. I was looking to long this, but what I wanted to see was a sweep into this daily volume inefficiency. You can see that low volume node over here. Once we started to bounce off it, I was just too pig-headed and stubborn to adapt, purely because I didn't have anywhere to put my invalidation. What I wanted to see was a sweep into that and a reclaim back inside the 4-hour noodle before I push up. Instead, it just pushed straight into the 4-hour noodle and left me behind. But now that leaves us with a new setup that I'm watching currently. Not currently in this one, but I am in the other two positions, Hype and ENA. Now what I'm looking for on Link, I just want to see this range high hold. I want to see the 4-hour noodle hold. If we get a good reaction on tonight's news, I'll effectively look for a position in this. That would look something like an H1 structure break or an H1 noodle reclaim. Now structure is up here at $26 to get a confirmed market structure break. So really, if I want to layer into this, I'll effectively be looking for that H1 noodle reclaim for pushing higher. So that wraps up my second rapid fire market outlook for this channel. If you have not yet, please go and subscribe and turn the notification bell on. The reason for that is I am a momentum trader, so I post videos in line with momentum. Therefore, you're going to be notified as soon as those videos hit YouTube. Also, if you want access to the Money Noodle indicator, my live trades, and my daily market outlooks, be sure to go and join the Miles High Club. The link is in the description below. Other than that, hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.